It's the same contract I have with Global Lending Service. I did the same thing.
Yeah,
Same thing.
dissect some contracts. I could definitely point some stuff out.
Like when you say Ether taught you that, that's a class you invested in. That may be something everybody else because everything you tell me comes from the contract. Even setting up a TikTok page and putting it in business mode, it comes with a contract. So I've been hearing a lot about these contracts, rescinding contracts and things like that, and it's getting interesting. And I hate that I'm getting interested in it because I'm kind of obsessive.
Damn right. Rescind and request your money back.
Yeah, I requested my money back, all payments, rights, titles, and interest. Um, I'm waiting for them to, complete everything. It's within 60 days they take it and they take it off all the credit reports and all that kind of stuff. You gotta give them time to move. But I got my title, I got my settlement letter, so it works. I'm doing it.
Yeah, it works. But they put mine directly in my account within 3 days. And then the other thing I had rescinded after my money back. It took them. Shit, I gotta go and check the mail because it's been over 30 damn days. I had to call them. They said, "Oh yeah, we're gonna send it. We apologize." I ain't no apology. Y'all already sent me a letter saying y'all gonna send my money. Now send my money. Stop playing with me, folks.
It seemed like you will make more money from helping people get money back like that than the other thing you say you do.
Yeah, but see, people don't want to.
The first way you want to do is, like I told you guys before, update your driver license to American Indian and then go to the Social Security office and correct your social and put American Indian. And there are benefits, right? You do not.
Their contracts and know the nature of the contract, and he pointed out that there was um a security clause in the contract, right? And that security clause, gave them rights, titles, interest to, trade, the vehicle. Well, to make a long story short, in that regard, um, uh, I explained. Well, first of all, I got on the phone and I called Capital One, and when they could not answer my questions in regards to the FAFSA setting off the account and derecognizing it, I asked them to speak to supervisor, right? So I escalated the call and just continued to escalate it every time they could not answer my questions, to FAFSA and also the USC 151641. So I got to the president's office, and uh, once I, but bear in mind that the entire time that I was escalating, I was asking for the indentured trustee. Every time, I said, let me see the supervisor or the indentured trustee for the company, right? Um, so because you waste a lot of time talking. So once I got to the indentured trustee, had my contract in my hand, and I said, "Here, I have a contract," and I said, "You guys are the assignee on my contract, right?" And I said, under 15 USC 1641, it prohibits you guys from owning a consumer obligation for the convenience servicing the contract. I it says something allowed to own the contract or act basically. If you're acting as the owner and you're sending me a notice and you saying, "Oh well, we're going to enforce this consumer uh, c- uh, your installment contract." So you guys are taking money as the owners as assignees, and under 15 USC 1641 can't do that. It's prohibited. So, I mean, I asked them to set the account off, derecognize it, and return my payments and settle the account. And they acquiesced. They did what I asked them to do. But basically, it was because I kind of pinned them against the wall. You note every month. What do they call that? Installment contract. So you guys are taking money as the owners and receiving benefit as assignees. And under 15 USC 1641, you can't do that. It's prohibited. So, I mean, I asked them to set the account off, derecognize it, and my payments and settle the account. And they acquiesced. They did what I asked them to do. But basically, it was because I kind of pinned them against the wall because I asked them money as the owners and receiving benefit as assignees. And under 15 USC 1641, you can't do that. It's prohibited. So, I mean, I asked them to set the account off, derecognize it, and return my payments and settle the account. And they acquiesced. They did what I asked them to do. But basically, it was because I kind of pinned them against the wall because I asked them exactly what they were, who they were, and then I quoted this, the law to them. I'm sorry, guys. I'm in the therapist's office. It's in a car accident, so trying to get myself together. But yeah, that's pretty much the gist of it. I just continued to quote everything that I had learned in 999 Ether's class and kept escalating the call as I went through as was talking to the different agents on the line. I was on driving home from a friend's house. So I had time to just sit in the car and just listen, very intently to what he was saying. And he just kept impressing upon everybody to read their contracts and know the nature of the contract. And he pointed out that there was uh, a security clause in the contract, right? And that security clause, gave them rights, titles, and interest to, trade, the vehicle. Well, to make a long story short, in that regard, um, uh, I explained. Well, first of all, I got on the phone and I called Capital One, and when they could not answer my questions in regards to the FAFSA setting off the account and derecognizing it, I asked them to speak to supervisor, right? So I escalated the call and just continued to escalate it every time they could not answer my questions, to the FAFSA and also the USC 1641. So I got to the president's office and I asked to speak with the indent I got to and also the USC 1641. So it to the FAFSA and also the USC 15 escalated the call and just continued to escalate it every time they could not answer my questions, to the FAFSA and also the USC 15 1641. So I got to the president's office, and I asked to speak with the indentured trustee once I got on the phone with that person. But bear in mind that the entire time that I was escalating, I was asking for the indentured trustee. Every time, I said, let me speak to your supervisor or the indentured trustee for the company, right? Um, so because you waste a lot of time talking to people that really can't assist you with anything. So once I got to the indentured trustee, um, had my contract in my hand, and I said, "Here, I have a contract," and I said, "You guys are the assignee on my contract, right?" And I said, under 15 USC 1641, it prohibits you guys from owning a consumer obligation for the convenience of servicing the contract. I can't read it verbatim because I don't have it on me, but it says something relatively close to that nature, that they are not allowed to own the contract or act as owners. So basically, if you're acting as an owner and you're sending me a notice and you saying, "Oh well, we're going to enforce this consumer uh, what is that? Your note every month. What do they call that? Installment contract. So you guys are taking money as the owners and receiving your benefit as assignees. And under 15 USC 1641, you can't do that. It's prohibited. So, I mean, I asked them to set the account off, de-recognize it, and return my payments and settle the account. And they acquiesced. They did what I asked them to do. But basically, it was because uh,
Fiction of the law, right?
right. I got it now. I
And
got
your
it now.
precious value time commodity is being absorbed by it and utilized, and so you've got a right to recoupment.
There's an entitlement there. I got you. I'm gonna read through it some more. I'm gonna meditate on it and
The whole
put
thing
it to action.
it's all about rights, titles, and interest. You don't own shit. You can't own nothing. Came into this world naked, you leave this world naked. So it's all about controlling things. That's all it is. It's control. Beneficial use is not necessarily beneficial ownership.
Right. I'm getting that more and more. I get it. Believe me.
Now, your testimony the other day about what you did with the indentured
Capital
trustee
One.
and the CEO and CFO, and then the letter that I read, I was like, oh, look at this guy, and all by way of phone call. So that just goes. You don't have to litigate shit.
I also sent I also fraud department. I think that kind of helped. Yeah.
Yeah, and you can use the FCRA and the FCPB, and you can use all those agencies, and that's what we're really supposed to be doing is using the agencies, putting them on.
Michael, can you repeat the process for the ones that wasn't here? Which
And you can use the FCRA and the FCPB, and you can use all those agencies, and that's what we're really supposed to be doing is using the agencies, putting them on.
Michael, can you repeat the process for the ones that wasn't here? Which
And here's the honest 100% truth, and you guys probably already know this. None of these attorneys actually know the law. They're arguing policies and procedures and administration. They do not know law, nor are they required to know law. According to the American Bar Association standards themselves, to be accredited to be an attorney. The law attorneys, no, the law instructors at the top law colleges and universities set the glossaries every semester or quarter at the colleges, and they write their own terms based on the class and the material. This is a huge issue. This is a huge amount of word drifting. So they can define these words every semester however they choose. And they are doing that, by the way. My book is going to expose and reveal all of this. I am applying for some scholarly awards. I do believe I will get them, obviously not from the awards coming out of the institution. I made the book very tight so they can't discredit me. But I'm telling you what I've seen and what I've learned from my research and what I understand. It was all done by the redefining of words. Your rights are still there. The law still can be accessed through the courts, but you have to know and understand the law and define it and bring it for it. And that's what I'm doing using equity. And I yield. First one. And what they did was they changed the meaning of the words. And that's how they've been carrying out everything they've been doing up until now. Terry versus Ohio was another big case where they did it. And a lot of people think that
I think maybe what they're talking about is the fact that they're already making securitization monetization deals.
I've read it before, when they start paperwork, there's something that happens way before we even come into the picture, like as far as writing up the contract or whatever it is, and we end up
They
being.
have cooperative agreements with other entities undoubtedly, but what's that got to do with my transaction? And see, what I'm talking to you guys is the first primary transaction and not the secondary happens after the primary transaction. Your primary transaction is a credit application with a promissory note. Both of those are tax items. They have to be recorded on the person's balance sheet. Then they have a choice. They can negotiate it through the Federal Reserve and buy Federal Reserve Treasury or Federal Reserve securities, or they can go to the Treasury and they can Treasury security. We learned that in 31 CFR 357.
Federal Reserve Act Section 16.
Treasury security, or it's a Federal Reserve security.
folks, it's been a while since I've seen all of you guys. I hope you're all well.
How are you?
I'm very blessed. I've been working on a big project. I just wrote 3 books. I started it as 1 book, but it was so big, I had to split it up into 3 parts. So what I've been working on starts with the case of Munn versus Illinois. Is anyone familiar with that case?
I bet you Derek is.
I missed that. I was in the middle of putting my thoughts together. Like,
I started doing some research and writing and stuff, and I was asking, was anyone familiar with the case of Munn versus Illinois?
DD, I believe, talks about security features. And so what you're talking about is a secondary transaction, which is the secondary conduit loan that's created when you pledge your asset as collateral, not the promissory note and the original security agreement. It's a secondary conduit loan where you pledge the automobile or the house that creates that secondary transaction. What I'm talking about is the primary transaction. You talk about the secondary transaction. I'm very clear.
The point, let me just say it again. I'm not coming at someone that's trying to figure it out. I'm telling you something I've already. So I'm just saying for the average person, let's go with the primary transaction. So how can you, on the primary transaction, as soon as you sign the contract agreement to pay, the note is creating an obligation for you to pay monthly payments for whatever 30 years or whatever is the auto loan. When they come into court and say, hey, did you sign this contract? Hey, did you make payments? Hey, did you default? What is the terms? How could you tell the general people how to break down the firewall of the contract? Because
That's simple.
a court is not generally going to break down the firewalls of the contract and start looking at the note as a security. I mean, there's court cases dated back to 2025 where people what you're saying, I agree with what you're saying. But as far as just making it simple and going to court and saying those things, I'm very confident that it's not going to be as easy as they say. And the fact that you're pretty mischaracterizations of the transaction, you are now pleading fraud. You're basically saying fraud. So you got to establish the
What I'm
who,
talking
what,
about is-
when, where, and Rule 9B. How does the average person pass that highly high standard under Rule 8 and 9B? And it's not easy. So
UCC 9404 fucking wraps it up.
Rule 8 I said Rule 8. I just want to clarify. I said Rule 8A
Uh-huh.
Rule 9B under the Federal Rules of Civil Procedure. How did they pass that extremely high threshold?
I'm talking about UCC 9-404, which says the debtor isn't liable.
I'm saying, but they've made that argument as well. They've made that argument.
Check it out. I think the fundamental mistake that most people make is they want to argue about the contract, but we can't even talk about the contract until we establish whether or not you have been in receipt of a certified check for the credit liability side of the ledger for your asset. See, you can't even have a contract. The words on the paper don't mean nothing until the bank performs, and the bank never performed. So therefore, the contract.
The bank never performed. The bank doesn't have to perform because the bank are getting financing on the back end. So the bank doesn't actually have to lend you nothing. And the definition of a creditor is either the lender itself or its assignees or its third party assigns. Anybody who puts the money up is considered the creditor. The bank is just really acting as the middleman. I agree, but they're still going to stand in the position as a creditor.
You said a really, really important thing. The original creditor is always you. Everything after you is an assigned, so they're never the creditor.
See, courts call that the vapor money theory. The original creditor is you. They're going to say that's vapor money theory. I mean, I've had cases where people have said the exact same thing. We're the original creditor, and the judge threw it out as vapor money theory. So somebody put the money up.
I proved it by the EFIECC report, which every account has to be FDIC insured, and any
Right.
account that's FDIC insured has to go through the EFIECC report. And when that does that, they have to go through the comptroller of the currency. Now, on the balance sheet, the call balance sheet schedule, RC balance sheet, line 13 shows your asset.
Hold on, what balance sheet? What balance sheet are you talking about?
The
What
call,
balance sheet?
call schedule balance sheet.
No, what's the number? What's the number?
17.
The letter.
It's called the RC balance sheet.
It's RCC. But go ahead.
No, I'm talking about the RC. No,
I know RC balance sheet line 13. But you really should be talking about is RCL. But anyways,
right. We're just talking about securities. I get it.
Right, all balance sheet. Yeah, but you got to see the title. You got to see the title.
RCL, it has to get to the RC balance sheet first before it ever gets transacted any further than that. It has to be recorded on the RC balance sheet. So I take people to
but see, the problem is ours, the second one we just talked about, that actually comes first because it's the very first thing that you have to put down. The very first thing that you put down is a down payment. Do you know what they call a down payment?
Down payment.
Do you know the accounting
or credit transaction? That's
do you know the accounting term for a down payment? What they call it?
It's like I'm going to have to receipt.
Okay, it's called a loan commitment. All right, it's called loan commitment fees. But so that comes first. That comes first. The second thing of the transactions, though, that comes second. But the problem is these accounts don't have to be insured by the FDIC because, as we said, they're secondary accounts. And this is where they have separate agreements that collateral is pledged to secure these balances in which the receivables are going to be this collateral to secure the balances so they don't have to be insured by the FDIC. As a matter of fact, the FDIC itself says that the collateral must secure these balances and these fundings. So it doesn't have to necessarily be a FDIC insured account. And this is one of the things that
RCL is covered, and I agree with you.
right.
RCL, before RCL can happen, the first transaction has to be noted on the RC balance sheet.
See, no, see, here's the thing where I
You're
think
missing
I
the first transaction. which is
No,
my
no, see,
very no credit
I
application.
know, but
That's
I'm
actual
talking
cash
about,
value.
I know, but the brother, listen, you are missing a step. The very first transaction goes down before you ever become a part of the picture. That's how they're going to start the transaction before you even came a part of it. Your transaction started way before you even filled out an application. When you fill out the application, it's just lining up.
Okay, so explain this to me. If I go to a new bank, does the
Yep.
bank already have my account, or do they have to wait until I give an application and give them power of attorney to create the account?
When you go to a bank, the accounts were already set up. They just know people are going to come get consumer financing to go ahead and boom, it's already lined up. Basically, you just need the customers. The transaction is already set up. They're already at phase 2 of the transaction. They just need the customer to complete phase 3. Trust me. I'm not saying this because yes, sir. And the only reason why I'm
Talk to you privately about it, because I'd like to show you what I do, and I'd love to learn how you can figure that out.
most definitely you can send me a you can send me a DM. But basically, what I'm trying to tell you, Ms. Gonzalez, is you and I both know that these are very highly complex transactions. The average person is not just going to be able to go in there, but all right, ASC this, ASC. You know, you and I both know that, bro. We just
I
got to
just-
keep it
I
honest.
just keep it really simple because I look at the primary, the root. I look at the root, and the root is before I get there, if they're using my private intellectual property before I bestow it upon them and grant them power of attorney, that's like them. So I know they ain't doing that.
So what you saying? Are you saying that Derek never used the remedy that he's given? If he used it before it didn't work, is you saying?
No, I actually no. I'm not saying I used it before I didn't work. I do my own thing. Like
I'm
I
saying,
actually-
Derek, you saying he missing the step. So you saying if he go try it, it's not gonna work.
Are you talking
Already
about-
but I'm saying there's more than one way it's going to catch. I'm more than willing to receive his information because he's saying there's a different way of going about it. One thing that I see that seems to be a conflict of interest is you're telling me they already have the account set up, but that's an impossibility because you can't have the account. But so I grant you the permission to use my private intellectual property. I'm not dismissing it, but I'm just saying I don't understand what you're talking about. But
Derek, if you understand securitization, you would have known that.
no, look,
No,
you
no,
can't
no.
securitize nothing that don't exist first.
How transaction starts before you came in the picture. Like I'm saying, this you may not understand this, but I'm telling you, if you understood securitization on a corporate level and understand how corporate financing works, you would 100% know. what
I
I'm
know
talking
why
about.
they go to the off balance side sheet
But not
to the left.
before that.
That's because they securitize.
It's
I get-
before that. It's before that.
Yeah, like
And this,
I want to
and
talk
this
to you
is what
privately.
the ex.
This is understand.
This is what the SEC, my ex friend told me. This is what he told me. This is something that less than 1% of the people were ever going to understand. It's so small and so simple and so minute, but it's one of the most powerful positions and the most important aspect of the whole transaction. And this guy, he was an SEC attorney for 27 years out of the Morgan family. He scalped all these finance companies, secured billions of dollars in fines throughout his 27-year career. And then we have kind of contacted executives at Deloitte, people that worked at the highest level of this stuff. So there's little inner little pieces that the everyday person is going to miss because they haven't actually been on that side to see the intricacies of how it really works. So I'm not giving you my personal opinion how it works. When I'm basically saying this is matter of fact. This is just what it is. That, and if you want to summarize it that way, yep, it's already put together before you walked into the bank. And if you don't understand the transactions that took place before you ever came in the picture, you're always going to miss a key element of it. And that's what courts actually look for. And that don't matter what language that you use for accounting, you always have to tie this back to court as a cause of action on the consumer side. If you don't take these things back to the consumer side without, without overstepping the boundary, then they're going to throw it out. And I mute my mic.
Could y'all tap the screen, please? Tap the screen to 635 if you don't mind. We're trying to get her page shared out there. Derek gone. But in no sense.
The rights of being the original lender or creditor. They're just a servicer, and they can't prove an injury in fact. So under FASB 405-20-40-1, if you look at section B, it tells you that you demand debt securities back, or they extinguish the debt and derecognize it. Well, yep, and that's a wrap. That's a support that right down Title 15, 1641, F1 and 2. And again, this is all just off the top of my head.
Yeah.
This is